So you're thinking about taking a transatlantic cruise.
We just got back from our very first one, and there is so much to talk about.
We're going to tell you about 5 things that we absolutely loved about taking this cruise, and 5 things that, not so much.
We weren't prepared for.
No. I'm Chris.
And I'm Rebecca, and together we're the Limitless family, along with our 2 kids, Riley and Noah. We've been traveling around the world and having a ball because we want to show people that life can still be beautiful and you can still have lots of fun, even if you're on your last leg, like I am. If you don't get the reference, I'm a Boston Marathon survivor. Our whole story is here if you'll click the link, but let's get started.
So our plan was to travel the world and for the month of December to come home and take a little breather.
Yeah, the kids needed a breather.
And they wanted to be home for Christmas. So our final stop for this round of legs of the trip was Barcelona. And we thought, man, it'd be cool to find a different way to travel back home.
So we found a transatlantic cruise on Royal Caribbean, and also known as a repositioning cruise, that went from Barcelona back to Tampa.
This was our first time doing anything like this. We had been on one cruise before, and it was a 3-day cruise from Port Canaveral, Florida to the Bahamas and back. So this was 2 weeks across the Atlantic to come home, and this was a whole new animal for us.
The first huge pro of a transatlantic cruise is the price. Oftentimes these cruises are so much cheaper than regular cruises, which really surprised us because of how long it actually was. And another really cool part about it is that at first we booked the cheapest stateroom possible, really.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing the bidding right before the cruise.
You can actually go into your account and bid on an upgrade for a room.
And we got the balcony room, which we highly suggest if you were on a transatlantic cruise to try to spring for a balcony, because I don't know if we would have survived in a stateroom for 14 days.
Yeah, we ended up getting it for about a fifth of what the original cost for that room would have been. So that is key. Number 2 is some of the unique destinations that you get to visit that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before, such as Malaga, Spain, and Ponta Delgada in the Azores Islands, the islands of Portugal.
And we will definitely have videos coming up about that, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see those. We were also supposed to see the Rock of Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
But that was an epic fail.
Yeah, it was like 10 p.m. and extremely thick fog, so we did not get to see any of that.
Number 3 is definitely the amenities on the ship, and we were on Enchantment of the Seas. That's one of the older Royal Caribbean ships, but this was a pro in itself because it was a lot smaller than some of the ones you see with the slides and everything, and there was still a lot to do. Chris is a bingo royalty champion on the ship. There's tons of shows. He also got hypnotized, by the way.
Yeah, that was interesting. So.
Riley was able to participate in the kids club. Noah was able to participate in the teen club. There's wonderful pools.
Riley and I went and saw Indiana Jones in the movie theater, watched a seminar about the Titanic. So there really is something for all ages there. Number 4, the camaraderie on the ship. So when you're at sea for 2 weeks and it's a small ship, you're going to get to know people. You're going to see the same people all the time. There were times that I played in the sit and go poker tournaments, and I sat down with the same guys every time. And we just built lasting friendship. And that part made it even that much cooler.
And last but not least, number 5, the food. The food is amazing, and I didn't have to cook for 2 weeks, so that was even better. But you can either go to the buffet, where they have literally everything that you can think of from every nationality. If you decide that you want a more fine dining experience, you can go and you can get dressed up and you can go to the restaurant, and they treat you as good, if not better, than some of the best fine dining establishments that we've been to.
Now let's get into the cons of the transatlantic cruise we took. And we cannot go without saying number 1 is the seasickness, and this one right here was in shambles for a good part of the trip.
We live in Florida. We are on the water all the time.
Yeah.
We love to go out on the boat. But this is a whole different animal. When you are up against 20-foot waves in the Atlantic Ocean sometimes, you don't stand a chance. There were about 3 days where I was in bed. I had every form of motion sickness patch and medicine. So just be careful, prepare, even if you don't feel like you are going to be sick, because it is better to be safe than sorry. Number 2 is the limited connectivity.
The biggest con of the internet is how expensive it is. So for our family, being at sea for 14 days, it was going to cost around $1,100 for internet service for the entire time.
For us, we were able to go 2 weeks without the internet, and while it was wonderful, it was also not so wonderful too. When you can't stream and you're watching the same 3 movies.
Well, luckily we pulled into a port both Saturdays, so we were able to upload at port, which worked out. Number 3, extended sea days.
Yes, I think this can both be a pro and a con, because it's nice to have just some relaxing days to do whatever you want. And for us, coming off of almost 4 months of travel to different countries was really amazing to just relax. However, sometimes you get a little bit bored and it becomes a little bit more mundane, because with regular cruises, you have a lot of different ports, and we were at sea for 14 days and there were 3 times we got off the boat, and it ended up being in the first week were 2 of them. So we had a stretch of about 6 days where we were just in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So that was really where the shows and all of the amenities came in. But they are long days.
If you're okay with sitting by the pool, reading a book, or going down to the casino, or whatever,
playing cards,
playing cards in the room, just bonding, then the long sea days are actually a good thing.
Number 4, weather conditions.
The pool deck is closed because of how crazy it is outside.
The weather can get so drastic that at one point the food was flying off the tables and people were falling. They shut down the pools and the hot tub because the water was coming out.
Yeah, they had to drain the pools and the hot tubs.
It was really wild. And then the next day it was sunny and nice and everything was back to normal. So just expect the different conditions, and they happen very suddenly.
Number 5, attire-themed nights.
Yeah. We actually love dressing up, so if we would have prepared a little bit earlier, maybe watched some YouTube videos, we would know that on transatlantic cruises specifically, there are lots of different nights that you wear certain things. So they had a white out night, they had formal nights, but unfortunately, we had been to 4 different countries with our backpacks and about a week's worth of clothing, and none of that consisted of formal attire.